But I will say the biggest thing that really stopped us from like doing it in Jersey was just like the sheer fear. Like we didn't like we were just like afraid, like young guys, we were afraid of being judged because of our skin color, because of like our education. Oh, like you guys think like you can come in here and just like arbitrage or whatever. Like it honestly was just fear. Because if I go back right now, I get an arbitrage in a week. I promise you.
Welcome to Live, Let, Thrive, a podcast about the Airbnb life, the share economy, and everything in between. Here are your hosts, Micah and Steve.
Hello.
And welcome back to another exciting episode of
Live,
Let
Thrive. Micah's back. What's up, Micah?
Yeah, what's up, man? It's been a while since we recorded. Been, a couple weeks since we all got on?
It's been a little bit. How you been?
Yeah. Man, I've been good. Been busy, but I've been good. Working on arbitrages, turning regular long-term rentals into Airbnbs, so I've been good. But we got a special guest coming today. What episode are we on, Steve?
63.
63, and our guest is Norman Hamilton. You may know that we interviewed his partner Josh. He is the other half of Comfy Living LLC, a Airbnb business that runs out of Dallas and Houston. Welcome Norman onto the show, man.
Yeah.
Hey guys.
What's up, man? How you doing?
Doing good, man. Like I said, man, thanks for the invitation. I'm just happy to be here. Happy to share like my thoughts on everything. It's ready to get to business.
Heck yeah. So, one thing we do know about you, Norman, because I reckon you're a fan of the show, and
yeah.
Cool. We appreciate that, and I see you, I see you posting a lot of stuff on Facebook, kind of challenging people to talk smack about cryptocurrencies.
All right.
So you're big
right
into
it.
You're big into the crypto game, huh?
Yeah, I'm pretty deep into cryptocurrency. Definitely like just like Bitcoin in general, cryptocurrencies, crypto assets, whatever you want to call it. It's probably changed my life for the better. It's encouraged me to like be harder, to work harder. Like it's encouraged me to like never stop learning, figuring out what's going on, and just like take everything more seriously than I used to.
Nice. So how did you get into crypto?
I got into crypto in around like 2016 when I used to work, when I was interning at an investment bank. I was interning at Goldman Sachs around the time. And I had heard about it in 2012, but I dismissed it because I was in high school and I saw an article or I saw like a video on CNN. And they were essentially just talking about like, yeah, Bitcoin, drugs, Silk Road. And I was like, yeah, I'm not trying to go to jail. So I kind of just like dismissed it in 2012 and in 2016. Because I used to run track. I used to run track with a friend. My friend was on like one of our like rival high schools. He had actually like reintroduced me to it because like he found out I was going to New York and he lived in New York and he was basically like, yeah, we should link up. So we long story short, we exchanged messages. He told me he was into Bitcoin. He put me on essentially to like different websites and articles I can read to kind of like explain things to me. And I kind of understood it right off the top because I have a background in computer science, so I was a tech guy. So like I understood like the technical implications of Bitcoin, how it worked. Like I understood it quickly, and because like I was a millennial, I kind of grew up in that like digital realm where it's like I understand that like things that aren't physical can have value, can accrue value. Like you play MMO games and stuff like that like items in the game are rare than other items for a reason and stuff like that. So like for me, it was kind of like a no-brainer, the potential of just Bitcoin or just like crypto assets, just because like I grew up in like I said, I grew up playing games and stuff, so I understood digital things have value. I had a tech background, and then also like I was in finance at the time, so like I kind of had like a financial background too. And then like on top of that, like I also got heavy into economics as well, so I started reading about Austrian economics. I just spent like months on end just studying economics, studying finance, and I wasn't even like a finance major. I had a minor, but like it wasn't even my thing. But that's basically essentially what got me into it. And so 2016, I invested in Ethereum, and I don't want to disclose how much money I made from that, but I made a good sum of money in Ethereum in 2016. It was like $10, I think. So Had I sold at the peak, I would have made a good fortune of money, but I ended up selling before the peak because I had to pay for school. And some people call it a dumb investment. Some people would, like selling it to pay for school, I'm saying. But I was trying to finish my education, and y'all know I'm African, so my parents weren't having that whole, like, I'm dropping out to do whatever. So, like, that's kind of my story. But to speak about my friend a little bit more, he got in I think, like, 2011, and he started one of, like, the first, like, mining operations in Jersey, in central Jersey. So essentially, him and his partner made a large sum of money from just mining cryptocurrencies. And so when he put me on, he made enough money to the point where he had his own startup going. So I actually met him when, like, he was like in the beginning stages of his startup. And I think this year they actually raised around like $1.5 million, and they're still raising. So like there's potential in this market.
Wow, that's amazing, man.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So why did you choose Ethereum over Bitcoin back then?
I didn't choose Ethereum over. I didn't necessarily choose Ethereum over Bitcoin, but like I believe in like placing. I don't want to say placing bets, but essentially what I basically was doing was I wasn't just going all into one thing at the time. I was just placing bets, seeing what was happening because I was young and I was trying to get a grasp of what was happening in the market before like I just come up with some kind of like crazy investment thesis. I was kind of just playing in the markets at the time, figuring out what was going on, understanding how things worked, understanding how charts worked, understanding how like just like the crypto asset markets works, like what affects the market, what doesn't affect the market kind of thing. So at the time I put my money in those two because they at the time they were the biggest two, and like I knew that Bitcoin had been around for some time, but like Ethereum had came out, and if it could mimic Bitcoin in terms of like the upside, in terms of the growth, I would make a lot of money.
Cool. Real quick, for our fans out there, now we're gonna get into crypto and Bitcoin quite a bit, and Norman also does some Airbnb, and so hold steady, hold tight. One quick thing, real quickly. I know it's not simple to explain it, but like in the most layman's terms you can do, in the shortest possible amount of time you could do, could you explain what the hell is crypto and blockchain and all that, and how is it going to change the future maybe?
So, all right, in one word, a blockchain is a database. In one word, a crypto like currency or whatever is just some like means of value. Well, that's not one word, but in one sentence, a cryptocurrency is just a means of value exchange that's just built on top of a blockchain, which I told you was a database. So like in a database, what do? We make entries in a database, right? Like we make transactions in a database. And so essentially like the transactions that are recorded in this blockchain, aka a database, are like buys, or not necessarily buys and sells, but like just like the value transfer. Like I give you like 1 Bitcoin, that's recorded, that transaction, me sending Steve 1 Bitcoin is recorded on Bitcoin blockchain. Steve sending Micah that 1 Bitcoin is recorded on Bitcoin's blockchain. So that's kind of what it is, like a way to like record that value transfer. And then like the asset that lives in that blockchain is like, for example, like Bitcoin.
So if I could try, because I've heard it explained a few times, and if I could try to break it down with not even computers involved, and go back to like the blockchain kind of represents, let's say it's some caveman, right, back in the caveman days, and one caveman says, all right, man, I'm gonna give you my club to go borrow, for a week to go hunting and stuff,
right?
And then he goes, everybody in the tribe, you see that I'm giving him this to borrow, right? It's going to give it back to me. And everybody sees it. I guess they record it in their mind, and he borrows it for a week, and he comes back, he has to give it back. Everybody knows that he borrowed it from that guy, right? And so is that kind of, I know it's a weird way to explain it.
No. That's actually a perfect analogy, because when you study the history of money, like things like that actually happen. So if you read about the island called Yap, there were these things called rye stones, and essentially what you just described is what people did with the rye stones. The villagers would get together, and basically the rye stones were essentially these like 2-ton stones that were very difficult for people to like, it was very difficult to acquire. It was very difficult to like replicate these things. So people used it as a form of money. And so essentially what happened was what you just described. The villagers would get together, and when somebody was giving ownership of a rye stone to somebody else, they would announce it to everybody in the village so everybody knew. So that's how people would keep records back then.
Ah, interesting.
So what you just described is a perfect analogy.
Cool. And so if you don't give it back, everybody knows he stole it from that dude.
Right.
So that's and the blockchain is pretty much a computer way of telling the whole internet, hey, this guy gave me a Bitcoin, and I owe him something for it, and then the whole internet knows that transaction took place.
Yeah. I wouldn't say internet. I would say network, but more or less.
Okay, cool. You understand it now, Micah?
Oh yeah, I'm listening over here. So you said not internet, but you said network, meaning like
So an internet is a network of networks, but like each blockchain is essentially its own network. Bitcoin's blockchain is its own network. Just like you have your computer network in your house, right? Like if you were not connected through like some like Comcast or Xfinity or whatever to the internet, you would still have that intranet inside your house. Like you would still have that network. So like in the case of blockchain, in the case of Bitcoin, like blockchains themselves are like individual networks. Like Bitcoin is a network. Like it's a network of different computers that are connected to the Bitcoin network. Like Ethereum is a network. It's a network of different computers, aka nodes, that are connected to like the Ethereum blockchain one way or another.
Got you.
So there's like thousands of coins in existence. Is that a good estimate? Thousands? I don't know.
I would say over 2,000, but I'll tell you how I feel about that too.
Okay. Well, real quick question. What makes one coin more valuable than another coin?
So to dive into the theory behind it, the things that basically like monetary economists and people are trying to argue is that the things that actually make these things valuable than other things are actually, let me show you guys right now, because I was actually going over it too. But things such as like security, transaction speed, got it right here. So security, aka like the cost of the attack, security in the form of like the quality of the code, the quality of the team, how decentralized is it, how resistant to censorship is it, like is it immutable, what's the monetary policy behind it, is it like inflationary or is it disinflationary, fixed supply, how credible is it, what does the distribution look like in terms of like how decentralized is actual ownership or actual custody? Does one person own 80% of the supply, or do 7 billion people own 80% of the supply? How scalable is it? What is the throughput? Like, what does the governance behind that thing look like? How easy is it for people to use? Like, what is the extent to the programmability? Like, what can we build on top of it? Like, what is the extent of that? Like, what does the infrastructure look like? What does it look like on the development side? Like, what does the community look like? What's the ecosystem look like? What is the financial sustainability of development? And also, like, what is the depth of like financialization?
Oh, wow. That's pretty simple explanation. I'm just kidding.
Sorry about that.
So, I'm trying to understand it all. So, in other words, everybody's got a smartphone, right?
Right.
So I guess why does an iPhone cost $1,000 when a Nokia costs $100? You know what I'm saying? That's kind of because the technology's better, right?
Yeah. Pretty like basically, but like there's so much economics behind it besides like technology. Technology is just like one aspect behind it. Like we were talking about technology, but at the same time we spoke about monetary policy. So that there's more to it than just the technology.
Wow, this is awesome. This is interesting, man. You got any questions, Micah?
So I have a question, because while you're talking, I'm actually sitting here on crypto B&B. When do you think crypto is going to be used for like certified transactions? Like when could you see that happening?
So define certified transaction.
Like a personal, like a crypto B&B, right? Like you want to scan somebody's crib, you just pay them in cryptocurrency. Because I noticed they stopped it.
Okay.
The crypto DNA people, they stopped it. When do you think that'll be like in full blown effect?
So I think services like that will like start taking effect when like I'm gonna speak specifically about Bitcoin because that's what I know. But services like that will take effect when Bitcoin like becomes like I want to say like becomes a medium of it becomes like a stable medium of exchange, and like if I were to give you a personal timeline, I would say within 20 years, 25 years, but I can't be like, okay, it's gonna happen in 25 years. But personally, I could see it happening within 25 years, just because of like the progress that's been made, just because of like the recent developments that we're seeing. But like, if I could give you like a number, I would say maybe like, I speak with my friends about this all the time, and like we're thinking maybe 10 trillion, like at a 10 trillion market cap specifically for Bitcoin. I'm not talking about crypto in general, but we think at 10 trillion, like that's when we might start. That's when we think like the volatility will be so low that like we'll be able to start using it as a medium of exchange to conduct those kind of transactions that you spoke about. And another thing too is like once it becomes that stable, those things just naturally happen because now it's like so many people have it that like people naturally will just want to exchange it for other things. You know what I mean?
It has value at that point, and it has bartering value, I should say. Is that what you're saying? Yeah. So like in terms of money, like long story short, money is essentially like a store of value, a medium of exchange, and a unit of account. And the mental model behind that is kind of like picture a pyramid, where the bottom pyramid is the store of value, the medium, like the middle of the pyramid is that medium of exchange, and then the top of the pyramid, like the pinnacle, is like the unit of account. And then kind of picture like a pool of money just populating each layer. And like it's not as fluid as I'm describing it, but essentially like in order for something to become a unit of account, that layer that's a medium of exchange needs to be saturated with a certain amount of like liquidity, a certain amount of money. And then like even before that, like a store of value layer has to be saturated. And it kind of makes sense when you think about it, when you kind of look at like the history behind gold. Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely.
Exactly. I mean, what gives gold its value? But
are you asking me?
So it's kind of a rhetorical question, because I mean, someone's starving. Hey, I got a brick of gold. A brick of gold ain't gonna feed my family. You know what I'm saying? I mean, if there's no more systems set up to accept it, stuff like that. It's all like an agreed upon thing. Everybody in the world agrees, hey, gold's worth something, so it's worth something, right?
Right. Exactly.
And so, if everybody agrees Bitcoin's worth something, then it's gonna be worth something. It is worth something, apparently, right now.
Right. But like. Sorry. I just want to interject really quick. But in the case of like 2,000 like different cryptocurrencies, the fact of the matter is, like factors including but not limited to like just sheer competition will result in most of these coins dying. Like essentially like there are gonna be a couple good ones that like have niche use cases, but most of these projects are gonna die, and most of them like were just raised by people who took advantage of other people, to be completely honest. But like projects like Bitcoin that I personally believe that are aiming to be like sound money, like I said, store of value, medium of exchange, unit of account. Like I think those projects will like be fine. And also we also have to factor in that like it might like the bloodbath might be worse than like even like currency now, because currencies now are enforced by the state. So like for example, like you're required by the law to like accept like US dollars in the United States. If you go to Mexico, you need to take pesos. If I go to like Brazil, I need to take real. But like essentially in the digital realm, those forms of money, like there is no like law saying that like, I need to take Bitcoin or whatever. So essentially what we're going to see is like hyper competition, which kills a whole bunch of these currencies because people only want to use the best currency. And like in the real world, this is supported by the fact that like when you look at Zimbabwe, when their economy collapsed because of like hyperinflation, the next thing they went to was the US dollar. Like they're using US dollars in Zimbabwe and not their own currency. You go to Venezuela, people are buying US dollars on the black market. You go to Argentina, people are buying US dollars on the black market, and they're also buying Bitcoin.
Now, is it true that there's a finite number of actual Bitcoins out there?
Yeah. So it's programmed. It's like basically programmed into like Bitcoin that like the max that there will ever be is like 21 million ever.
And no one can ever change that in the future.
Yeah, babe. Nobody can change it. Like to make things simple, pretty much pretty much nobody can change it.
But I mean, you'd have to. I mean, for everybody in the world to use Bitcoin, they'd have to break it off to like bit pennies and bit nickels and right?
So it's divisible up to like each Bitcoin can be divided 100 million times.
Oh, okay, that makes
so
sense.
So while there's 21 million, multiply that by 100 million, and like we're talking like 4 quadrillion like Bitcoin, something dumb high, something crazy high.
Oh, okay, I get it.
And in terms of like in terms of like how do you like what is the unit of account, like if we were to just not use like one Bitcoin for things, because it's that like a lot of people like to compare it to like the price in terms of USD. Like we have something called the metric system, where like I'm not calling something like 10 million. Like, I mean, I don't have to call something like 1,000 meters. We called it a kilometer. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not gonna call it like 0.001 meters. I'll call it a centimeter. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I see what you're saying. And real quickly, explain to us what I saw you mention it on Facebook. What is a shit coin?
Like, so if I were to describe a shit coin, if I were to tell you what a shit coin is, like projects that virtually have like, I'm not gonna say zero, but I'll say a very low, like non-zero chance of succeeding, like scams. Like I'm sure you heard of like BitConnect, like proof of weak hands, just like utter nonsense that people have created to like take money from other people.
Yeah, I have some friends that got mixed up in some of those,
right?
And they pretty much set up like Ponzi schemes.
Basically. So like if you were to talk to me, I'd say most projects are shit coins, but there are also very, very good projects run by like honest people.
Cool. All right, let's jump into if you don't mind, Micah. You want to jump into a little bit of some Airbnb talk for the fans out there. So you do Airbnb also, eh?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Okay, how'd you start Airbnb, and what exactly do you do in Airbnb?
So we officially got started in like 2017, but I want to say like the idea and like just like us trying that happened in like 2016 when Josh and I, the co-founder, we're both co-founders technically, when we were in college. And so we basically started like Comfy Living while we were in college with the purpose of like trying to like Airbnb, corporate housing, do all that jazz while we were in New Jersey. And so like, what was the question so I know I'm on track?
Like, I was asking how you started and what exactly do you do in the Airbnb world?
Okay. So we got started in 2016 for like the purpose of just like Airbnb, so we could just have money on the side and stuff. The inspiration came from one of our friends named I'll shout him out, Kwame. Kwame Bowler was doing it while he was in Seattle, and he kind of like introduced me to like the whole entrepreneurship kind of deal. I always knew I wanted to do something, but I kind of didn't know what I wanted to do. And when I saw what he was doing, I really was like inspired to kind of do my own thing because I liked it, and it seemed like he was very independent and like out there just doing this thing and killing it. So when I came back to Jersey, I wanted to do it, and then Josh lived in Seattle too, and Kwame and Josh connected, and so Josh came back with like the idea of like, yo, let's like partner up and let's really do this thing. So in 2016, while I was working at Goldman in New York City, that's kind of when like that idea got birthed. Ironically, it was around the same time I got into crypto as well. But so that there's the inspiration behind it. Fast forward to like 2017 when I moved out to Houston and Josh moved to Dallas. I want to say that there are tons of factors which prevented us from actually getting our first arbitrage, including but not limited to education. But I will say the biggest thing that really stopped us from like doing it in Jersey was just like the sheer fear. Like we were just like afraid, like young guys, we were afraid of being judged because of our skin color, because of like our education. Oh, like you guys think like you can come in here and just like arbitrage or whatever. Like it honestly was just fear. Because if I go back right now, I get an arbitrage in a week. I promise you. But like, yeah, fast forward to like 2017, like we were basically going through like Craigslist, Facebook Marketplace, just like, networking, putting our names out there online to try to figure out like how we could get an arbitrage. And Josh struck gold in Dallas with our very first client. And so like the communication and the work between that has been like, we'll plan everything out on a calendar. I'll make that drive up to Dallas, and we'll we'll get everything and we'll set up the unit. So we set up that first unit, I want to say in like November of 2017, and we've been operating out of that. Basically, our business model is like corporate housing. So we're trying to get people in here, like traveling nurses, just like corporate clients, whoever wants to get in for like a month plus, and we'll run like background checks, and then we also do like traditional like Airbnb on the side, but like we're very strict with who we let in because we're trying to minimize like the damage that's done to our units, because at the end of the day we're a business, and like we potentially have investors, and we also have like our clients that we're working with. They there's an expectation that we're keeping their units like as good as possible. And then also we're partnered with somebody in Houston with one of his units as well, and then we have another arbitrage in Houston as well.
So y'all primarily do arbitrages then?
Yeah, our arbitrage, but like we have a preference toward corporate housing. Like if I had a choice between arbitrage and corporate housing, I would most likely do corporate housing. But if we can't get corporate housing, we'll most likely do arbitrage, traditional.
Nice.
Now, how many units do you guys have?
3. One of them is a partnership. 2 of them is ours.
So okay, 3 total. That's good.
Yes.
Man. That's good. You guys are growing quick, man. You guys got that hustle going, and the Bitcoin hustle can't be stopped. So
exactly.
So how is the corporate? Because you obviously you have a unit in Dallas and you have a unit in Houston. Which one do you see the more corporate travelers coming into? Is it Houston or Dallas? That's something I've always been interested in.
As of now, and off top, I would probably say Houston, because the amount of time that it took for us to get a corporate person inside of Houston was less than Dallas. But I will say that over time, like I'll have an accurate measurement of that. But as of now, like if I were to just say off top in terms of effort, definitely it seemed easier in Houston. But like people are like, I'm pretty sure you saw that Facebook post. Oh, people are not so nice about like pricing and stuff. But like, hey man, it's a business.
Yeah, those old school people. Yeah, they're kind of the corporate housing model is it's a bit new. But people see the pricing on it. Like I used to tell people, like when I told people how I price my units, they're like, "You're crazy. Nobody will rent that." And it's crazy. Like every time somebody tells me someone won't rent it, I usually get someone booking the unit the next day or so. I'm like, right, people will pay.
Right, exactly. So I'm thinking I should start those arguments on purpose, because like when that argument happened, like I got somebody the next day, so I might make it my business to like get people pissed off at me. I don't know.
The trolling game. Mike is good at that.
I'm very good at that internet trolling thing. I don't do that whole passive aggressive thing. If I see you coming crazy, I will check it.
Oh snap! I love it. Hey, real quick, for listeners that don't exactly know what an arbitrage is, could you tell them what it is, what it means to you, and how do you? And the number one question they ask after Micah tries to explain it to people is, how do you get people to agree to an arbitrage? How do you approach them? Show me like a scenario.
So I mean, a typical scenario for us is like I'll go on Craigslist, and I'll just Craigslist, Facebook, or like I'll set up just like a whole bunch of tours, or like I'll go on Zillow, and like we'll just literally like I'll just have an Excel sheet just full of like places I'm interested in, and I'll just like call the owners, I'll ask them out for like lunch, or I'll be like, hey, like, can we schedule some time to like discuss this? I'll basically just introduce myself and like what our company does, what we're doing. I'll show them our social media. Like Micah really helped us out. Like we have a packet now of like what we do. Like we have literally business documents that tell people what we do. We operate under an LLC. So essentially what I'm trying to pitch to these guys is going with us is better than going with a traditional rental for reason X, Y, and Z. Like traditional people may not take care of your place as good as we're going to take care of it, because we have a financial obligation to make sure that everything inside of your place is like in tip-top shape. Like, if you have someone in there for like a year, if something breaks, they may not tell you about it until like they move out. And then like now you have to spend money to get that fixed. But with us, like we are making sure that like everything in there is good. Like in some cases, like we'll get travel insurance. Like for a guy in Dallas, like we have travel insurance for all the people that come in there, like our corporate travelers. And like we even take security like to the next level. Like we even have our own security, like cameras, like we have smart locks. So like we're keeping track of everything. Like I said, like I'm a tech guy. Like I love making decisions based off of data, and like I just love throwing like accurate, not to like like gloat or anything, but I love like throwing like just like data in people's faces, because like it's one thing if I'm telling you it, but it's another thing if the numbers are telling you it, because numbers don't lie.
Nice.
You sound like a LeBron James fan.
I am a LeBron fan.
I know, I can tell because you're a numbers guy. So you said you do insurance, travel insurance. How does that work for your corporate clients?
So I mean, like with the background checks and travel insurance, like we use software called Cozy for like the background checks. For travel insurance, there's actually like a website that we have. I don't remember it off the top of my head, but essentially like we literally have a policy for like short term, and it's essentially arbitrage to the person who's coming in.
Nice.
So from like business wise, like we try to like arbitrage those extra expenses onto like, it sounds kind of messed up, but like it's it's business. We arbitrage it like to the person staying, or like we'll structure the price. We'll like do our like price strategy in a way that it doesn't really like affect us like that much. Kind of like with the whole like timeshares thing as well.
Mm-hmm. Also, so since you guys are arbitraging, do you guys plan on hopping into the real estate game and actually buying property in the future?
Yeah. So me and Josh actually talked about that, and like we think the next level is like we want to scale to like 20 units. Like we have milestones set like 10, 15, 20, and we kind of want to like evaluate what's going on with us from a personal standpoint. But like we are 100% gonna get like personal like units, or like even not personal units, but we might just like say like, yo, like now let's diversify what we're doing, because like the first step is a business, or we think our first step is kind of like just going all in and like establishing like that main revenue. Then it's like, okay, now once you have that main revenue established, the next thing you need to do is diversify into different things so that you are basically set as a business, so that like, okay, if one portion of your business fails, you have like 3 other pillars still holding your business up. So we are 100% going to go into like getting units next, because like we have to diversify eventually to make sure that like we have a solid foundation as business.
Assets, gotcha.
So I mean, I could talk about that too if you want me to.
Yeah, go into that.
I mean, like couple things like we want to diversify into, like in terms of real estate, is like, okay, one, like education, mentoring, like obviously we're doing like the arbitrage and corporate housing. The fourth thing could be timeshares. The 5th thing is now like actual like real estate units. So now we have like 5 different streams of income in one business. So if one thing is bad, we got 4 other things holding us up.
Mm-hmm.
That's smart.
Definitely,
That's real smart.
Yeah.
Don't put all your eggs in one basket, right?
Yeah. Everything you know is an asset. There you go. Sell your intellectual property, man. That's smart stuff. And
the 6th thing I didn't even say was, like, I can go deeper. The 6th thing is consulting now. So like you can go once you like, for example, you guys have a podcast. The next thing you can do is you can sell your individual time on like, I think it's called clarity.fm, and you can charge people by the minute. You can either do it as an individual or you can do it as a business, but that's a 6th stream of income for your business that you can essentially use to like make that, that foundation more sound, more solid. The 7th thing you can do is you could start your own cleaning company, and you can either arbitrage your cleaners through like turnover B&B, or you can just have like, you can outsource your cleaners to other Airbnbers or other arbitragers and just charge them a premium off of what you're paying your current like cleaner.
Wow.
There you go. That's the easiest way to make money. Play the middleman.
So as a wise man once said, I'm not a businessman, I'm a business. Man. Hey, okay. So y'all are okay. How old are you guys, first of all? You and Josh?
I think I'm 24. I just turned 24.
Wow.
I think Josh is 25. No, Josh. No. Josh is 24 also. Josh is 24.
Man.
Josh turns 25 in September.
Y'all got it figured out, man. Hey, real quick. Okay, that's cool. Y'all seem like a real tight knit. Some partners going on here. But one of you lives in Houston. The other one, you live in Houston. Josh lives in Dallas. We know Josh real good. How do you keep that partnership together with that distance going on?
Well, I'm a workaholic, so like for example, like sometimes you just gotta be like there's a mutual understanding. Like sometimes like you're just gonna have to take the L. Like for example, one of our cleaners couldn't make it, and like I wasn't gonna leave my homie out there just stranded cleaning it by herself. So I got up at like it was like 8 or 9 o'clock, like in Houston. Got in my car, got my stuff together. I packed my bags. I work remote at my job, so like I have the luxury of just working anywhere I want in the world. So I packed my bags. I got in my car at 8 o'clock and I drove to Dallas. I got there at midnight, and we started cleaning from midnight to like 3 or 4 in the morning. And we had to take the L. So Josh got 1 hour sleep or 2 hours of sleep, and he went to work. And I fortunately I work on Pacific time, so I'm able to work later in the day than other people. So I got like 5 hours of sleep. I just got up and I worked. But that week I was in Dallas for like 3 or 4 days. Just like hanging out, making sure things were stabilized, but getting work done. I had to sleep on the couch, but it is what it is. We're trying to build the business, so sometimes you just got to take the L. You just got to sacrifice.
Damn, that's dedication
real
right
talk,
there.
Man. Real, man. That's real talk.
Hopped on a car from Houston over here. That's
right.
That's sweet. So
and I'm not even sorry about that.
My next question is okay, so you drove up there, so. Have you guys put like a system in place where you can have a backup cleaner on turnover B&B?
That's what I was thinking.
So in that particular, so we have it's kind of weird. So in Houston, we have 2 cleaners in Houston. In Dallas, I don't think that was set up, and that was our mistake. And that's a learning experience for us. So L is a loss, and it's also a learning experience as well. So that was our mistake. That was definitely, but I had to go up there. But I had to go up there anyway though because we upgraded our unit. Like we installed security cameras and we also added a Nest thermostat. So that's something that I had to do as well. And then also the learning experience behind that is you got to learn how to be a handyman sometimes because you can't afford the handyman. You know what I mean? So hey,
oh, yeah.
Real talk, yeah.
See, it automatically reminded me of that old. I guess it was a joke, right? Because I'm 40, dude. I'm not gonna hop in a car and drive all the way from Houston to Dallas. I'm gonna be calling everybody and their uncle. I'll pay $200, $300. I'll tell them get over there and clean. I'll hook you up. Don't worry. And but you're young and eager. You're the young bull in that story that you've probably heard before. The young bull. Yeah, he's out there up on the hill and he's talking to his dad. Hey, Dad, look at all those cows. Let's go down there and I'll say make love to one. And his dad says, "No, son, let's walk down there and make love to them all." So I'm the old bull, anyways.
Nah, I know that saying.
So that reminded me of that. I was like, man, back in the day, maybe, but I'm gonna make some phone calls. I'm gonna pay somebody.
Speaking of that, man, always like how you said, Steve, you'd be making phone calls and you hook somebody up. I had a similar situation to that. I'm real big on take care of your employees, man, because my corporate client destroyed one of my units. Not really destroyed it, but just left a bunch of Amazon. He had Amazon boxes stacked all the way to the ceiling. Everything was left out. She sent a picture to me, but she went and cleaned it, but she didn't get done until 1 in the morning. So I sent her an extra $50. I was like, oh dang, I sent her an extra $50. Take care of your employees, man.
Right.
That's real talk, Steve.
That's a really important thing, man. That's a really important thing.
Yes, sir.
So what, real quick, what percentage do you make off of these arbitrages?
What's our margin?
Yeah.
So I want to say I think for the one in Houston, I think Micah dropped off, but for the one in Houston, rent is $1,400. It's actually $1,398, but we're charging $2,217. For the one in Dallas, I think we were charging $2,200, and rent was $1,400.
Okay, so that's your. Oh, okay, that's what I was saying. Because when I was thinking arbitrage too, I guess I was thinking co-hosting, but that's not. I don't know why I was thinking that. Like co-host charge what 20%, right?
So yeah, we're doing 20. We're doing 20%.
So you do co-host also.
Yeah. When I say partnered, I mean like co-host. So like someone has a unit, they give it to us, we run it, we do 80-20 split.
Oh, okay, that's pretty standard.
And then we also like the next thing we're moving into is like investor contracts now. Like if investors want to partner with us, I think one of the things we're looking at is like, okay, we'll do I think 70-30 for X amount of years, and after X amount of years, it's like 80 us, 20 them, or something like that. It's like contracts are negotiable, but that's the next step too, for whatever reason, if we would want to like, take an investor money, because sometimes you don't want to use your own money for various reasons.
Oh, okay. So how would that work? So I want to be an investor, and
Right.
I'll come to you. Hey, man. I just want to be the money man. I'll give you the money to do your thing, and how much of a return? How much of a return do I get?
So I mean, I don't for the return.
I mean, I don't know. Maybe you can ballpark it.
So I can't necessarily say return, but what I can basically say is like if we have a unit, right, and I'm charging like $100, like say rent for the unit is like $10, and we're charging $100. Of the $90, we'll do like, okay, you get 70, we get 30, and like say you finance that entire $100. Like the contract will be like, it's a very extensive contract, but long story short, like the contract could be this, like, okay, you're giving us this money and for the lifetime of the property. So like if anything happens, like you're guaranteed your return back, or you're guaranteed what you put in back. Like we'll have that in a contract. And then like after you get what you put in back, like for X amount of years, this is going to be what you're getting. You're going to get how do I say it? Like you're guaranteed like 30% of the monthly profit if there's a monthly profit. But like return wise, maybe if you're guaranteed your money back return wise, it's over 100%. So maybe like 150 over like over a time period. Does that sound like? So
it's kind of like, I guess it's kind of like a hard money loan in a way for you to get started on the arbitrage. Is that what it is? And then you pay me out and then I'm gone. Is that kind of what it is?
Kind of, but it's not like necessarily like, okay, we pay you back and you're gone. It's literally like you have like, I guess the closest thing I could like just compare it to is like equity. Like,
oh, cool.
Like you have 30% of, like you initially have 80% of the project because like we have to pay you back. But once we pay you back, we're switching to you have 30%, we have 70%, because now like, okay, you're paid back. Here are your dividends, because we want to make sure they at least get their money back, right?
Yeah, that's awesome. And you talking about an investor buying a whole house or buying a whole condo or just buying the startup?
Buying an arbitrage, buying an arbitrage.
Oh, okay. When you say buying,
so we have identified an arbitrage, and the landlord says yes. Would they finance this arbitrage for us, and we operate it?
Oh, I see. So they go buy all the furniture and all that stuff and set it up.
They give us the money. We'll do all the setting up.
Oh, okay. Now I get it. That's pretty cool.
So they don't have to lift a finger. They're just signing the contract. We'll get our CPA involved because we need to, obviously, like, there are tax implications with that. Like, the interest and stuff is deductible from your income. So like we get our CPA involved and make sure like we're right from a tax standpoint. But that's the first part. The second part is the discussion with a CPA.
So do you have any of those yet?
Yeah, we have a CPA.
I mean, do you have any of the investor arbitrage things yet?
Yeah. Because of social media, we have like several people that we're that we're in discussions with, and we're actually right now we're ironing out things with our CPA from a tax standpoint to make sure that we're doing everything, we're compliant with the IRS when we're doing this stuff. Because I don't want to get smacked in the face with like a violation or something like that.
Dude, if you want to start like a little investment group, let me know. I want to be a part of it.
Yeah, definitely. Like that's like, and once we become more mature, like that's one of the things that we were thinking about. And like social media too, like that's something that's been really, really helpful with just like all of this. Like social media has helped so much.
Oh yeah, big time. Mike, are you there? Micah? I see his picture. I don't see Micah. Anyways.
He either might be muted or he might have dropped off. I'm not sure.
Yeah. Well, we'll keep going. So, so what else do you see branching out to in the future? You got the crypto, you got the arbitrage, the Airbnb arbitrages. What other stuff interests you, man? I mean, you seem like you can do anything if you put your mind to it.
Thanks, man. I mean, like, what interests me is just crypto interests me. I'm really interested into like, how the finance, the economics, like the future and stuff behind that. Like real estate really interests me. Like, and investing in general, just like it's just like a really interesting thing to me. So I could see myself like diversifying, I guess my investments into other asset classes, kind of just doing the whole full-time investment thing. But I'm also very interested in like, that whole idea of like financial freedom. Like I'm sure you watch like Bigger Pockets and stuff. Like you hear all these people talk about financial freedom. Oh, like, because I got this many properties, I'm going to like Mauritius or something like that. Stuff like that. So like, I'm really interested in traveling, the whole financial freedom. I definitely want to explore that for a bit, but I don't think I could ever just stop working just because like I've become such a workaholic. Like I could never see myself just not working. But like another thing I want to get into is just like mentoring too, because like part of my goals too is to kind of just like wake up as many of my close friends, family as I can to just like the endless possibilities. Like I said, with crypto's kind of just like opened my eyes to the flaws in our current financial system and just like the flaws to life in general in terms of like finance. So like I've kind of changed my life goal from like monetary goals to kind of just like accomplishment goals, if that makes sense.
Oh yeah, that's awesome. Hey, can we bring it back? Because earlier in the show, you had mentioned something about Austrian economics.
Yeah.
And that automatically makes me think of my man Ron Paul. Do you know Ron Paul?
Yeah, a lot of Austrians like they're really like big Ron Paul supporters. A lot of Austrians are like libertarians by nature. Like they really like they tend to like those guys. So
you get in so you studied it some Austrian economics. Could you explain real quick what that is exactly, or how?
So I mean, it's essentially, sorry about that. You said what it is and what else?
Yeah, and how it's implemented or whatever.
So I mean, they're like in economics. Like I'm not an expert, but like I just really like the idea. But essentially, like economics, there are like two schools of thought. There is like the Keynesian school of thought, which is basically what's practiced today in modern economics. It's taught in modern universities. It's taught to you in high school. And like there's the Austrian economic school of thought, which is like essentially different. And like they're basically different on different principles. Like Austrians are in love with concepts like money having like a fixed supply. Keynesians believe in things such as like, we need inflation. Inflation is a good thing. Ideas such as like, having a federal reserve. Like we need government in terms of like, we need the government or the Federal Reserve to like control the money supply and things like that. So essentially it just boils down to a school of thought. But like if I could really just like, for like the average person, like I guess I could use crypto as a perfect example. Keynesians think that like, Bitcoin is bad because it has a fixed supply. Austrians think it's good because it has a fixed supply. And it's just basically like their approach to economics in general.
Hey, y'all hear me?
Yeah.
We can hear you.
All right, sorry about that. Hey, my mic went out.
Oh.
But hey, what I was gonna say, because I was trying to chime in when you were talking about the investors, the model you were explaining, that's really a good model for like people just wanting to get into the arbitrage business. Mm-hmm. If you can set up a deal with an investor where he gets 70% of the profit until he gets his money back, and then it flips to where you get 70% and he gets 30%.
Right.
That's the perfect arbitrage that you want right there.
And then also like that's not just limited to like, okay, we're taking money. Like the eighth stream of income, which I forgot to mention before, is actually that. So now we're networked with other Airbnbs potentially in the future, or people who just want to get started through like mentoring. And now like, we can charge you for mentoring and like, okay, we'll give you a loan as well. And here's the contract for the loan.
Yeah. Am I echoing?
A little bit. You're good, man.
Okay.
Yeah, a little bit.
You sound
But
like
yeah.
you sound like the voice of God.
Good.
Good. Yeah.
But yeah, that's what I wanted to touch on because that's if you're an arbitrager and you just need capital, that's the perfect arbitrage to get into.
Right.
Arbitrage, the arbitrager, right?
Yeah.
Well,
Right.
we're getting into some libertarianism talk, Micah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I was listening.
It's like-
Yeah. But like I was saying with that though, like I'm not an expert by many means, but it's just essentially like two different schools of thought. They fundamentally approach like the theory of economics completely different. It basically boils down to like should we have a fixed monetary supply or should like we constantly have like inflation? And then also it gets deeper. Like Austrians believe like for example like inflation and manipulation of the money supply leads to things such as like malinvestment, which can cause things like the 2008 financial crisis.
yeah, causing bubbles left and right.
Yeah, essentially, like they basically believe like like centralized. I think they believe that centralized control of the monetary supply is basically what caused like the boom bust cycle that we basically see, and Keynesians kind of teach that like, oh, it's a natural part of economics kind of thing. And Austrians like the idea of sound money. Like Austrians love gold, like they love like the economics behind gold because gold was very hard to like. It's very hard to like duplicate gold. Gold is very hard to mine. So gold was like virtually the closest thing to like a fixed supply that they had. Like a lot of Austrians will basically always reference the Belle. I think it's called La Belle Epoque, and that's basically like a time in Europe when there was basically barely any war. Everybody was under the gold standard, and like things were just so much better from a European standpoint. Everything was basically being invented. Austrians will often cite like that the best inventions happened during like the period of the gold standard, such as like electricity. Well, not necessarily electricity being invented, but like the wiring of like electricity, like the light bulb and all that stuff. Like some of the most important inventions in human history happened during the gold standard, and like that's why they're in love with like things such as like a gold standard.
It's interesting, man. I don't know exactly if I follow one or the other more.
Well, most people are Keynesians by nature, and like also like another thing that like a lot of people don't understand is like the concept of like time preference, high time preference versus low time preference. So essentially, like Austrians will argue that like the Keynesian school of thought has basically encouraged people to have a high time preference, and essentially a high time preference is in a nutshell is kind of like how do you allocate your time? Like, are you future oriented? Are you oriented like in the now? Like, for example, like can you like in people who invest are typically have a low time preference because they're concerned with the future, right? We're investing because we're trying to get that future value. But people with a high time preference, all they care about is just buying useless trinkets and stuff like that.
Huh.
So they believe that like high time preference is bad because it encourages people to just like invest poorly. But Keynesians believe that no, high time preference is good because we need to constantly circulate money. So a school of thought.
Different school of thought. And I got into a little I guess Facebook disagreement. I wasn't trying to troll, but I accidentally stepped in a whole pile of troll, and I was going back and forth with these people, Facebook friends. I commented on a friend's thing. He was kind of complaining about how how rent's going up again, $50, and he has to do this and that, and
inflation.
Inflation. And I told him, that's I kind of tried to explain to. He's asking like ways, this isn't fair, blah blah blah, and going off on a little tangent. I said, well, one way, here's one solution. I'm not saying you have to do it. Just think about buying a house, real estate. I mean, it locks in that in that payment. I know taxes go up, this and that, but you get to write off taxes, you get to write off things, blah blah blah. And I was just trying to explain it, and oh man, I got piled on. Oh, man, not everybody can buy houses like you, and you're part of the problem because you own more than one house. And
right, and then like you could also argue that like I said before, like the Keynesian school of thought, like modern day economics, that basically encourages that kind of thinking that you see from like your friends or your peers. Like essentially, like they complain about the fact that we have inflation and that everything goes up every single year, but they don't understand that the way to offset inflation is by investing in something that gives you a greater return than the actual inflation, so that you're always ahead of the game.
Exactly.
They rely on their wages increasing when like your wages aren't guaranteed to increase because you don't control that. But if you're investing, you control. There are more things you control than like if you were working at a corporation, and that's why like investing is so important.
Those
Like you
damn
have to
Dave
invest
Ramsey people.
right. You have to invest if you're. You need some type of investment if you're in, like in like this kind of society, like with this inflation, where you know the money supply increases by 6% a year, 2 to 3% inflation. Like you need to invest and you need to earn higher than inflation, or like virtually every dollar you're saving is going to be worthless in like 30 years or something like that.
And that was my point. I mean, like I said, I'm not sure if I'm one way or the other, Keynesian or Austrian, whatever, leaning. But it's the way the game is set up. Like you said, it's Keynesian. So you got to play the game by the game's rules, right? So, yeah, that's what I was saying. I was suggesting real estate. You know, maybe you get 1 or 2 rentals, and you know,
Right.
you pile up some what's it called, equity, and
Right.
and stave off inflation. And man, they went at me like I'm part of the problem. You know, I'm just
Right.
trying to play the game, trying to keep my money.
You're not part of the problem. You're just being smart.
That's what I was trying to explain, but they they piled on
Problem
me
is,
pretty
you
good.
gave them a solution.
I gave them a solution.
People don't
want
like
solutions.
They just want to bitch and complain.
Yeah.
Straight up.
Nobody.
Give somebody a solution. That's the
Right.
first way to start a fight.
Right. Bro, Steve, in most of these like trivial arguments, like the person who's complaining, normally like their solution is in what they're complaining about.
Yeah.
Oh, prices are going up. The prices are going up.
Rent's
Okay.
going up.
Like,
Well, don't
what
be a
are you
renter
gonna
then.
do about it?
Don't be a renter then.
Yeah. I'm renting and my rent's going up every year. Don't rent. Own. Don't rent. How about don't rent? Own and rent.
Yeah, that's easy for you to say because you got enough money to buy a house. No,
Well,
man.
all you need is 3.5%.
That's what
if you're a first-time homeowner of like whatever you're getting, and if you live in the Midwest or if you live in the South, compared to the Northeast, compared to San Francisco, that's nothing.
Unless you're a Dave Ramsey fan.
I don't know how. There's something called Google. What's next?
Unless
I
you're,
don't have internet. You have books.
like I said,
I don't know how to read. You have friends.
Exactly. So, yeah. So I mean, there's people like to complain. They like you said, people that usually go out there on Facebook and complain. They just want to be, I feel bad for you. Yeah, the system sucks. Blah, blah. They want to hear that. They don't want to hear a way out.
Yeah, I like Norman's personality, man. He's a fireball.
Man, I love reading his posts, man. He's going at it. Yeah. But that's great, man.
Those arguments too.
Huh?
The thing with I'll get into those arguments too, and like the troll in me is like I'll start the argument, I'll get them riled up, and I just won't respond after that. So like they'll either like call me on Facebook or like they'll call me on my cell phone, and like it's just funny, man. It's just funny.
They'll call you on your phone?
Like, and sometimes it's my friends because they're like, some of my friends are like, they think the opposite of me, and so like they'll try to convince me so hard to think their way, and it's like I used to think their way, and obviously it changed the way I think for a reason. So like I'm not gonna go back to that if after I changed the whole thought process of just life in general, I've been so much better off.
Right. That makes sense. So you plan on being a digital nomad one day?
I'll do it. Like I'm not gonna lie. Like the whole me going to Dallas thing. Part of that was I wanted to like experiment with like the whole digital nomad thing. Just being able to go anywhere. Like I'm going to San Francisco in a couple weeks. Like even though technically I still work at a 9 to 5 because I'm basically 100% remote. Like I have the perks of like doing the whole digital nomad thing. Like I'm gonna be going to like North Carolina as well too. But like I do plan on being a digital nomad, but not in a sense of like I'm just earning passive income while I'm traveling the world. Nah, like I used to be one of those like passive income, like like I'm not gonna say passive income freaks, but like I was in love with the idea. But then like I kind of just changed. I don't know if it was the work or if it was just like I guess I sat on my ass for a day and I was like, man, this is boring.
So
Man, I've hit that spot. I know what you mean. Like, no, I'm serious. It comes a spot where, okay, the money's just gonna come, right? So you're
Right.
trying to find something else. Me and Mahogany were just talking about that. Me and my wife, I was like, man, I'm trying to figure out what's next right now. Like,
Yeah.
you know, a little bit of excitement came yesterday when I heard the little news about the timeshares, but I fixed it. So it was just like, well, dang, I need another challenge. That's really what it is.
I definitely want to see the data on that, because like that's going to be interesting for like when we decide to do that as well. Like I would love to see like the data on like, well, you don't have to show me, but like just a general idea of like, okay, before like they did the whole 99 guest pass thing, and then after, I would love to see that.
Oh yeah, I'll definitely be posting it.
And y'all are talking about written out your timeshares, right? And now Wyndham has decided to charge, if you give the timeshare to someone else, a $99 fee, which that cuts into the profits a little.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you just throw $100 cleaning fee on there, and then probably bump it up to like $130. You know.
Right.
See, you always find a solution out of every problem, Micah.
Pricing strategy.
Yeah, it's just strategy.
And going back to the Houston thing again, real quick. That changed it for me, because I just said, okay, you went out there to help out a buddy clean, but in the back of your mind, you're like, let's experiment with this digital nomad thing too while I'm at it.
Yeah,
that's pretty neat. There's always a what's it called, a byproduct, a good byproduct from every problem, right?
There is a good byproduct. But the thing with me though is like I'm so like. And I think it's because of like, you know, what I'm trying to get accomplished. Like I'm doing something at a very young age, and like the upside on it in the future is going to be so high that I think that like I've mentally convinced myself that I just need to like sit down and just work, like just literally work. No, like no Rihanna pun intended, but like just work. And so like just like even like the idea of just like going out with my friends, like I'll be in a club and I'll just be like, bro, why am I here? I could be like making money.
Damn.
or like we'll just be like hanging out and I'm just like, yo, why am I here? Like I've completely like buried myself in the hustle. Like those things just like completely like, you know, turn me off. But like I need to, like I know like once I get things established, like I'm gonna yearn for that stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like I can do this because I'm a single guy, but like if I had a wife, like my wife would probably smack me in my face.
Dang, man. You gotta have a wife that's on board with you.
Yeah.
But man, you guys have really inspired me. I'm probably gonna go get another arbitrage tomorrow.
Let's start that fund, man. Real quick, I mean, you know a lot about, you know, the financial world, financial world, Bitcoin, all that stuff, crypto.
I don't know a lot. Bro.
You know, more than us.
Yeah.
And investing. So, do you think a crash is coming anytime soon?
For what, Bitcoin or just like in general?
The stock market crash, everything crash, housing, boom.
We're always gonna have like boom bust cycle. We're always gonna have crashes. Do I think one is coming soon? I think so. I don't know. I don't know when. I don't know when it's coming, but we're overdue for one. And every day that we don't have one, the likelihood increases.
Well, next one that I predict is going to be, hold on, plus 18 after 2026, 8 years. It's every 18 years it crashes.
Right. So, like I said, if it's 2026 and we don't have one, I'll be scared.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, you really want what you're doing is good though. Arbitrage until the crash.
Yeah.
So when it crashes, you know, or just get a little piece of property just to have, you know, just don't overpay. That's what I would suggest.
I made a status about that as well. I was like, look, I can't wait until the next crash happens, because the second the next crash happens, I'm buying all these properties for pennies on the dollar.
Exactly. That's what you have to prepare for.
I'm buying. So like even with what we're doing with Comfy, like me and Josh, like we got our savings account open so we could just capture all our profits. And so like I need to talk to Josh, because I think like, yo, like long term, like we should have like a set amount of money just like allocated, like we just call it like crash money, like recession money. Pull that out. It's like, all right, yo, it's time to drive for dollars, time to hit the streets.
For real, I like that. He said the crash money.
Man, it's been a great conversation. We've learned a lot, and I'm gonna sit back and listen to this one a few times. Is there anything else you want to tell our fans, our listeners out there?
Like social media, man. Like social media as a marketing tool is just highly underpriced. Like if you're an arbitrager in any type of real estate and you're not on social media, like I don't care if you're like 90 years old, because I know you guys like sending out your what is it? The telegrams. What is that? Like the direct mail. Like get on social media, man. Like social media has helped us grow so quick as a business. It's also helped us like tell our story as well, because I think what we're essentially constructing with Comfy from a social media side, or me personally with my own personal blog, is that like for the people who say, oh, like I don't know how to do it, or like I don't know where to get started, I'll tell them, yo, go to our blog, go to the first post where I literally label it day one, see what I did every single day, look at day 365, that's where I'm at.
That's what's up. Hey, tell them about your blog and where they can find you, man.
So I got two blogs. I got like a personal blog that I basically call like Today I Learned, where it's like the purpose of it is to like hold myself accountable for just like absorbing as much information as possible and just executing on this information that I have. That's on my Instagram. My Instagram is just at norm.hamilton, NORM8.HAMILTON. And then my second one is my YouTube channel, and that is just that one is called Your Daily Hash. So literally just go on YouTube, type in Your Daily Hash, or you can just type in my name, Norm space B, and like you'll see me on YouTube. My profile picture is like my actual picture, so you'll be able to see me. And then like I said, find us on Facebook, facebook.com/comfylivingforall, instagram.com/comfylivingforall, twitter.com/@staywithcomfy.
That title, Your Daily Hash, that's a cool title. It reminds me of time I spent in Amsterdam.
hashing every day. Reminded me of the month I spent in Cali. That's why I don't go back.
That stuff's too strong.
Yeah, it's crazy out there.
Well, thanks, Norman. Thanks for hopping on. You're an awesome guest, and you just dropped the mic on everybody out there. I can't wait to see how much more trolling you got going on out there. I like following you on the social networks.
Like Tekashi 6ix9ine of real estate.
Wow.
Well, cool, man. Well, you can hop on anytime. It'd be cool to get you and Josh on the show one day.
That's gonna be like we're gonna sell out.
It'll be a 2-hour or 2-part episode.
That's gonna be special. That has to be pay-per-view.
Yeah, I know. If you're good at something, why do it for free, right?
All right.
Well, all right, man. We appreciate it. You want to tell everybody where you can find us, Micah?
Yeah, man. You can find us at liveletthrive.com. You can find us on Facebook at Live Let Thrive. If you're signing up a new property, remember to go to our website and click one of the links and sign up under us. We'll give you a free consultation. And if you're in the DFW area, we will personally come to your unit and consult you.
Definitely do that, guys. Like, these guys are fantastic. I'm happy to be here. I hope you guys got some kind of value from this podcast. But like support these guys, man, please, because they just support them.
Thanks, Norman. That means a lot to us.
Yeah, man, no problem.
Well, thank all you fans out there for keep listening to Live Let Thrive and keep spreading the word. And what's up, Jerome? All right, y'all. We'll see y'all next week.
All right.
Peace.
Later.
Peace.
Thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of Live Let Thrive. Be sure to tune in next week for all the latest in the world of Airbnb and all that entails. Bye-bye.